All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for Connect University. Hands-on Connect Cloud Solutions is excited to be able to provide any and all of the digital solutions you need, whether it's from our flagship volunteer management product, Hands-on Connect, additional insights and training with other Connect University sessions, learning about additional tools through our Connect Exchange series, Salesforce implementation and configuration, custom-built applications, or our stellar support, including virtual administration, we've got you covered. Additionally, I will be recording today's training today for future viewing. We have a really great team here at Hands-on Connect Cloud Solutions, and we want to make sure that you are able to succeed in your goals. Our team consists of Art, Domingo, Alfredo, Larry, Esteban, and Melissa, Jenny, and myself. My name is Libby Ziemilis, and I'm eager to get started talking to you about a few reporting features. Melissa spent 2 Connect Universities discussing an overview of reports and dashboards, so today I'm going to take some time to look at some features that can help you take your reports to another level. Since this is a 20-minute presentation, I won't be able to cover everything that you can do with reports, but hopefully I'll be able to give you some more tools for your shed. So a brief overview. What are reports? Reports are a list of records that meet the criteria you define. In my opinion, this is one of Salesforce's most incredible strengths. Nearly every piece of information that goes into your system can be easily viewed in a report. I say nearly because using standard Salesforce functionality, there are a few things that are more difficult to report on, and that would be including notes and attachments. Let's take some time to look at the features I'm going to cover today. Custom record types, bucket fields, formula fields, and cross filters. The basis for every report is the record type. This determines what information is available and the relationships your report will have, starting with a primary object and then potentially additional related objects depending on the type you select. Bucketing allows you to easily categorize your records without the additional creation of custom fields on your objects. Formulas allow you to use existing fields and run calculations, again, without the creation of custom fields on your objects. Cross filters allow you to include or exclude records that are related to objects in your current report type. So as we start thinking about creating a report using these features, it's good to keep in mind that the report format in order to ensure that the tools we want to use are even available to us. So making sure that we know which report format we're going to be using. For example, today I'm going to focus on using summary report format to make sure I can use bucket fields and formula fields while keeping our data as simple as possible for the purpose of today's university. So let's start with creating a custom report type. Now, you may already have lots of report types in your system. So before creating any new report type, take a moment to go through these types to make sure that you're not creating duplicates. You want report creation to be easy for your users, and sometimes knowing where to start can be difficult and overwhelming if you have a lot to choose from. I implore you to always use consistent and concise naming conventions so you know exactly what report types include. So let's jump over here for a second. So in this sandbox that I'm using for this training, there are nearly 60 custom record types, and many are named poorly and don't always return the records that I'm expecting. It makes it difficult for users when they're trying to make a new report. And for example, I want to call out this report type here. It's named CCCC with a description of SDFGFSD. Okay, that is not helpful to anyone. And the only way for me to know what this report is to actually open it up and look. And despite having said to you that you shouldn't create a new report type, if you already have one, I'm going to do it today anyway. So we're in Setup and Report Types, and we're going to go ahead and click on New Custom Report Type. The first thing that you're going to do is select your primary object. I'm interested in creating a custom report based on contacts, but we also want to be able to report on contacts and connections, or contacts with connections. So we're going to start, for our primary object, we're going to do contacts, contacts. So when I do the naming, I always start with my primary object first. So contacts with connections. And I'm going to name this test, and we're going to name this test 5 just for giggles here. Tab through, the report type name is auto-populated, and we're going to add in a description. So let's say this is contacts with connections. And where do you want this stored so you can find it later when you go to create your new reports? I'm going to put it in other reports. So if it's deployed, then I can use it. If it's still in development, that means you're still building it out. We'll go ahead and click on next. So here is where you add any relationships that you want to have available in your report. I'm going to go ahead and include connections. So contacts is our primary object, and we want to add a related object. And we're looking for contacts that do have at least one connection record. You can add up to 4 related objects depending on what your primary object is going to be, and then the additional related ones. If we wanted to add another one that's related to connections, it's a little more limited as to what options we have available. But for this example, we're just going to have these 2. So I'm going to click Save. So this is the information on our custom report type. If you create new custom fields on your objects and you want them to be available in your report types, they can be added here. Since this is a new report type, all existing fields on our selected objects are going to already be available. Let's take a look at this. One really awesome thing to consider is that you can also add fields that are related via lookup from your base objects. For example, let's say I wanted to be able to add something from the household object. So I see here view contact fields, and I want to add fields related via lookup. So let's say I wanted to add from the household this formal greeting. It's normally not available on the contact record, and I didn't want to be able to have to create a lookup or a formula field on my contact record to have that information. So I could just include it in the report here by adding it here. I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. So now that we actually have this created, let's go ahead and make a new report. So we're going to click on New Report. And to find the report type that I want, I'm going to go test, and this was test 5. So first thing we want to do is to make sure that we start seeing results and we can access some information. So I want to look at all contacts, and I want birth date of all time. What I'm going to be doing is I want to see about bucketing some contacts by age. So we're going to add an age. And let's add some additional filters. So I really am only interested in contacts who have volunteered in the past. So I'm looking for where I have on the contact, hours served is greater than 0. So it's going to narrow that down. I'm going to go ahead and add in my hours served field by dragging it over. So now that I have this information set up, I'm going to go ahead and bucket this field. So I click on the down arrow for age, and I'm going to be bucketing this so I can have it grouped. So this is age grouping is what I'm going to call it. So for the range, so if it's less than 18, we're going to say this is group 1. I'll add another one, so 18 to, let's say, 35 is group 2. This is very arbitrary. 35 to 65 is group 3. And then over 65, we'll call this group 4. So now that I have this bucket field, we can see that Becky falls into group 3 in here. So now I'm going to group by this field because I want to do a little bit more with this. So now we have it in a summary format. I'm going to go ahead and also summarize my hours served because I'm going to show you. We're going to add a chart because having grouped all of my contacts that have hours in the system, I want to be able to see this and use this in a dashboard. So I love pie charts. So it's going to be the sum of hours served based by age grouping. This report is only going to show the one preview information based on the small data that we have. So let's go ahead and run this report and take a look at the system that we have here. So this gives us a lot of information based on this grouping that we made by age. So here we can see the sum of hours served. So it looks like group 3 has the most. Then we can break it down and see probably group 4, then 2, then group 1. If we hide the details for this report, we can see what that really looks like. So we can see by age group 1 how many hours, group 2, group 3, and group 4. Like I said, this would be, could be useful information for you to put on your dashboard for your users. Okay, so for looking at formula fields, which is the next thing that I'm going to tackle, we're going to use a different report, one that I've prepped in advance. Here we go. So let's first customize this report so we can see what we're working with. And slowly. So when you first look at this, we can see what the report type is. So it's occurrences with volunteer opportunities. We're going to move this. We can also see here it is a summary format report, and it's grouped first by volunteer opportunity and then by occurrence. Some information that we have here that we're going to be using is the volunteer opportunity, total confirmed connections, as well as the maximum attendance. And then at the occurrence level, we have the total confirmed and maximum attendance. These are also summarized by sum, and then we have the total hours served, and this is at the occurrence level. What I'm really interested in seeing is the percentage full of these volunteer opportunities, but both by volunteer opportunity and at the occurrence level. So let's go ahead and start making some formula fields. So to add a formula field, you click on Add Formula and you drag it over. And you drag it over until it's green and lines up nice. Okay, so the first one that we're going to do is opportunity percentage full. So this is the number of confirmed connections of the maximum. I want this as a percentage. And since I'm looking at the volunteer opportunity level, I'm going to have this summarized at grouping level 1, which is at the volunteer opportunity name. So this is where it gets, it could be tricky, but we know what we want to accomplish, and we know that we have the fields there to make this formula work. So we are going to click on the summary fields. And so from the volunteer opportunity, we're going to scroll down, and we have to push this little tiny arrow at the bottom to get to the volunteer opportunity information. And we're going to look at the total confirmed sum, and we're going to divide that by the volunteer opportunity maximum attendance. So how many out of the maximum are there? So now that we have this information, it's a percent. I like decimal places. We'll go ahead and click OK. So now we can see this opportunity percentage full, and this is going to show at the opportunity level. So here we have that at the volunteer opportunity, and I think I have those switched. Let me edit this. I have the volunteer opportunity confirmed connections out of the total minimum. I used minimum attendance. That was why that didn't look right. So luckily, I took a look at that and saw that that was not correct. So now we want to go to maximum attendance, sum, Okay, and now that looks much better. So this is 5 out of 20 for the volunteer opportunity. So now let's go ahead and do that again for the occurrence. So this is occurrence percentage full, and this is confirmed of maximum attendance. Okay, this is going to be a percent, and this is at the occurrence level, so we're going to add this to the grouping at the occurrence. So here we're going to add from the occurrence the total confirmed divided by the maximum attendance, sum, read that. Okay, and then try to make sure that we can see that this is, did I do that one? Okay, so we have 4 confirmed out of 1, and we have 1 confirmed out of 4. So let me make sure I did this wrong again. So total confirmed divided by the maximum attendance. Okay, let's take a look at this. So let's run this report and see how this looks. Make sure it makes sense. So at the occurrence, we had 17 out of 25 here. We had 11 out of 10 here. So we can see that overall this opportunity was at 80% capacity, but this occurrence and this occurrence, you can see where they were at the occurrence. So this is a lot of information that we can see here. The one thing that I noticed though is we have a bunch of 0 percentages, and sometimes that is not helpful when, if you're trying to, do something with this data, unless you're looking for zeros, and then you can go from there. But this gives us a great opportunity to look at adding a cross filter. So what if we only wanted to see occurrences with connections? So we'll go ahead and customize. And this is where we add a cross filter. So we add a filter, and we're adding a cross filter. So like we said before, cross filters exclude or include information on related objects. So what we're looking for is occurrences with connections. Because this report that we were looking at before didn't specify whether or not there were actually connections. So there could be no connections included. So not only can we do this cross filter, but we can also add an additional filter on that connection itself. So let's say we really only want to say the attendance status is either attended or please verify. So when we add this in, we say okay, then we run the report. Here we can see a little more narrowed down information. So another great way for us to be able to get a lot of information from a report that we may not have seen without adding in those custom formula fields or that cross filter. So cross filters are just one more way to extend your reporting. So let's say you had a report on all contacts in your system. You could run a report on contacts with or without connections, or with connections where the status was declined. There are so many ways to be able to access your information. It's really important for you to be able to start with what you're interested in doing, and then create the report from there. Okay, let's go back over here. I went through that pretty fast, and I covered some pretty in-depth features there. And there are so many different ways to be able to go about it. One great tool for you to learn some more information is using the Salesforce Trailhead. So there's Salesforce training that's specific to reports, including dashboards. Or if there's something specific that you would love to see in a future Connect University, please be sure to let us know. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this will get you thinking about reports and how they can make your life easier. Be sure to join Hands-on Connect Cloud Solutions next week for our weekly demo, or join in next week's Connect University where Art's going to talk about quick actions. Want to share this training with your teammates or look at past trainings? Please be sure to check out our website, handsonconnect.org/past webinars, to see what we have offered in the past. Thank you all again so much, and have a wonderful day.